Hi, I'm Samantha McDouglas from thebridgeteachers.com. Come look over my shoulder at a bidding problem. On this hand, our partner was the dealer and passed. Our right-hand opponent also passed, and it is now our turn to bid. If you were going to play this strictly by the book, what would you bid? 4 clubs. You may have different agreements with your partner, and that's okay. One of the beautiful things about bridge is everybody does things the way that suits them. The nuances of a preempt bid are by partnership agreement. Are we promising a good suit? Can we have a side 4 or 5 card suit? Can we have a void? These are all partnership agreement. But almost universally, we agree that when we preempt at the 2 level, we're showing a 6 card suit. When we preempt at the 3 level, we're showing a 7 card suit. And when we preempt at the 4 level, we are showing an 8 card suit. Of course, if you play that 2 clubs is a strong bid, you're not going to be preempting by bidding 2 clubs. And then you have to decide, is 3 clubs going to be strictly 7 clubs, or can it also be 6? But when you have 8, the correct level to preempt at is 4. There are 2 reasons that I actually would not preempt 4 clubs with this hand. I would bid something different. So let's take 4 clubs back. If you weren't going to go strictly by the book in this position with this hand, how would you open the hand? In other words, if I didn't make you open 4 clubs, would you open something different? And if so, what would that be? I would open this hand 5 clubs. The first reason is that with an 8 card minor, it can often be far more effective to preempt at the 5 level instead of the 4 level. If you imagine that the opponents are likely to be making 4 hearts or 4 spades, then bidding 4 clubs does not prevent the opponents from bidding 4 hearts or 4 spades, and we may find ourselves wishing that we could bid 5 clubs anyway. We can solve this problem by just opening 5. If you look at your hand and you're thinking, if they bid 4 hearts or 4 spades, I'm going to bid 5 clubs, probably it is better just to open the hand 5 clubs. It's always worth looking at the vulnerability when making this type of decision. This vulnerability is favorable to this sort of sacrifice because the opponents are vulnerable, making their game worth more. And we are non-vulnerable, so if we go down, we will lose less points. There is also, on this hand, a strong possibility that we could be making 5 clubs. We don't need all that much from partner. If partner is bringing the ace of clubs and the queen jack of hearts, we have a 50% chance to make 5. And all of those are very, very good reasons. But the biggest reason for me on this hand is that I am in the 3rd seat. Whatever agreements I have with my partner with preempt bids do not apply when I am preempting in the 3rd seat. When we talk about the 3rd seat, what we mean is that the first person, the dealer, passed and the second person also passed. This makes us the 3rd person to bid and no one has opened. Thus, we are in the 3rd seat. When our partner doesn't have enough strength to open, and our right-hand opponent doesn't have enough strength to open, and we have a weak hand, it is a near certainty that the person playing after us, in this case West, has a good hand. And the weaker our hand is, the stronger that hand is likely to be. Now we have a pretty good hand. So if our partner and East are at the maximum of what they could have and still pass, West probably is just a little bit above average. But if one or both of them are weaker, then West's hand is better. With the idea that the player bidding after us has a very good hand, this means that our preempt is going to be effective. We know we aren't preempting and catching partner with a strong hand because partner has passed. We know that the person who has the strong hand is the opponent. This makes our preempt more useful. With all of that in mind, would you open this hand 5 clubs? Yes, I would 100% open this hand 5 clubs. We have very little to lose and a whole lot to gain. If the opponents are making 4 hearts or 4 spades, 5 clubs is almost certainly a good sacrifice. It is also entirely possible here that we are making 5 clubs. Even if this hand was going to be a part score battle, we were probably always going to compete to at least 4 clubs, and this way we have less chance of getting doubled. Preempt bids are most effective when they are done at the maximum level right away. If you take your time to work your way up, you have lost everything that the preempt could have gained you. The point of bidding 5 clubs here is to make the opponents decide what to do at the 5 level. It is going to make conversation between the two hands incredibly difficult. If they have a fit in hearts or spades, now they have to find it at the 5 level. If they can make 6, they have to figure that out starting at the 5 level. This bid is going to make it incredibly difficult for them to figure out what's going on in the hand, and this decreases the chance that we will get doubled. Let me show you what not to do. The person who held our hand opened 3 clubs. I would never do this. I very rarely lie about the level of my preempt. I will, with an 8-card minor suit fit, occasionally bid 5 instead of 4. But I don't bid 2 with 7. And I don't bid 3 with 6 or with 8. We have 8 clubs. Your options here are to open 1 club because you are in the 3rd seat and you've decided to open aggressively, or to preempt 4 clubs or to preempt 5 clubs, but do not preempt 3 clubs. This shows a 7-card suit and we have an 8-card suit. You are doing nothing to stop the opponents from finding their contract. And in fact, on this hand, what happened was they found their fit. And now the person who held our hand bid 4 clubs. And remember that this is one of the reasons that I said I would have opened this hand 5 clubs instead of 4, is because I'm not going to sit for 4 of a major, because I know I'm going to bid again. And what we don't do with the preempt is make multiple bids. With a preempt, you get in, you make your bid, you take up the space, and you get out. You do not continue bidding. The opponents bid to 4 spades, and now the person who held our hand passed. From the very beginning with this hand, there was no way I was going to let the opponents play 4 of a major without bidding 5 clubs. That is one of the main reasons that I opened this hand 5 clubs. If this person now bids 5 clubs, the odds of getting doubled are very, very high. When you take your time in an auction like this, instead of just going to 5 clubs, you haven't gotten any benefit because the opponents have had the conversation that they needed to find the right contract. You didn't stop them from doing that at all. And now, because you've taken your time to get to 5 clubs, you are so much more likely to be doubled. If you just bid 5 clubs, the opponents may double you, absolutely, but they may also have no idea what's going on, whether or not they have a game, who has the strength, and they may not double you. You are far more likely to get doubled if you bid 3 clubs and then 4 clubs and then 5 clubs than you are if you just bid 5 clubs. And of course, if we just bid 5 clubs, it is now incredibly difficult for the opponents to find their spade fit. West can double, but this is no longer a strictly takeout double. This is now either a penalty double or a cooperative double. And East has a tough decision. Are they going to pass and penalize 5 clubs? Or are they going to bid 5 spades? And they have almost no information with which to make this bid, and it will be very easy for them to go wrong. The purpose of a preempt is to get in the auction, take up as much bidding space as you safely can, and then get out. And the idea is that if we have 6, we're relatively safe bidding at the 2 level. And if we have 7, we're relatively safe bidding at the 3 level. And if we have 8, we're relatively safe bidding at the 4 level. The greater your length is, the more tricks you will be able to take. So the longer your suit, the higher it is safe to bid. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to get doubled and go down, but you're probably going to lose less points than if you hadn't done it. I would rather that you pass with this hand, which I would never do, than bid 3 clubs. When you bid 3 clubs with this hand, you don't get any benefit. You assume all the risk, and now the opponents bid to 4 spades easily anyway. When we bid to 5 clubs, they have to decide what to do at the 5 level, not knowing who has the strength, not knowing whether or not they have a fit. This is a much more difficult auction for them to navigate. We are putting a ton of pressure on them, and yes, they may absolutely get it right. And if they do, kudos to them. But the odds are that they won't, because they don't have the room to have a conversation. We have taken up almost all of the available bidding space. And in doing so, we've made it very, very difficult for them. And they will probably go wrong. And by doing so as quickly as we did, we have minimized our risk, because even if they double us and we end up playing 5 clubs doubled, they haven't communicated anything about their hands, and the defense will be more difficult for them. If you give them time, they will have communicated and they will have more information, and the defense will be easier for them. The purpose of a preempt bid is to take up bidding space. You want to get in and take up your bidding space and then get out. You don't want to be bidding again. The only time that we bid again after making a preempt is if our partner forces us to do so. Any other time, you have taken up your space and you are done with the auction. So make sure that you get that first bid right, because unless partner forces you, it should be your last bid on this hand. We are going to look at the play of this hand next week. So be sure to tune in if you want to see all 4 hands and see how we did by bidding 5 clubs. Thank you. In the deep dark of winter, what better way to spend time with friends and family than playing bridge? Please join our family by liking and subscribing these videos.